We're on the air.
Bring me up, Scotty.
All right.
I can see it's gonna be a long night. I ain't gonna stop until I get it right. I don't wanna sing no Jeremiah. I'd really love to say things just ain't that bad. Oh, how we love our denial, a comfort to cover up the shame. But the truth is standing on trial, and I've got proof that we're all to blame. Oh, my fellow Americans, are we reaping our harvest of greed? Have we built our house on sinking sand? Why are we being ugly Americans?
Justice and your host for Weekdays Live today. And interestingly enough, we're we're getting it together. I wanted to start today with breaking news that have been a very big interest, specifically to a lot of us, and that is, what are our activists doing, and how is Barbara? So I've got on the air with me already Kimmy Van Dyke from Santa Barbara. I've got some of her photos from the pink party. So Kimmy, welcome to the show. Update us on what happened at the party, on the parade on Saturday.
Awesome. Hey, CJ, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
We had an absolute blast. We're random about it. Just a bunch of people showed up in pink, and we had two songs that we partied along up State Street to, which is Three Little Birds by Bob Marley, and In the Summertime. And my girlfriend, she made some Zumba choreography. So we just literally danced and played ukulele, and kids blew bubbles, and we just had a blast. It was an absolute awesome time, and I was hearing in the morning that I was in the news press, so that was pretty fun. Got to be on the front of the newspaper, and there's my
Excellent.
co-producer Ray. She's 14, and she's my first ukulele student, and anyways, it was a total blast.
That is really exciting. I'm just looking at these photos, scrolling through them. You just sent them in the email. And truly, guys, as we straddle technological difficulties to bring you this show, we're really excited. Thanks. These are fabulous pictures.
Oh, it's a great day. There's over 100,000 spectators and over 1,000 people in the actual parade itself. And everything's powered by humans, so everything's either pushed or pulled. And so there's no loud, noisy, gas-powered semi-trucks.
Anything. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
And another thing we did is seeing how, this is all about pink stands for peace.
Yes.
We handed out little pink dots and stuck them on everybody, saying pink stands for peace. We did the peace sign. There's my friend Cindy out front doing the Zumba. And down lower, there's two there. There's Chicken of the Sea and Surf and Turf. I saw those being built at the workshop, and it was amazing.
That's great. That's great.
And there's my girlfriend's daughter in there doing aerobatics inside the finale blow-up balloon, whatever you want to call that.
Right.
Oh, yeah, another friend out front dancing. Panzumo, amazing dancers. So it's a good time. You guys should come next year.
That's great.
But
Now,
then more seriously, getting on to
yeah.
San Bernardino, went down on Monday to support and be with the group for Barbara.
Yes.
I now know that she's out of jail now. Thank goodness.
And
I don't know the details yet, so maybe you have some updates. But it was quite an experience.
just a minute, Kimmy. For those of you that aren't aware
Very
of
unsettling.
if for those of you that aren't aware of what has actually happened, a foreclosure fighter got arrested and has been in prison on $250,000 bail. And it's been very traumatic for everyone. Trying to find an attorney. There's a whole bunch of issues. I really don't want to go into them. But the fact is there were tons and tons of supporters. And Kimmy drove down from Santa Barbara. This was in San Bernardino, right?
Yeah, it's about a 2.5-hour drive.
Yeah.
Got a speeding ticket the night before. Duh.
Like I said, don't break the law.
There's a lot of boots on the ground. And
Yes.
I think there was close to 30 people. We filled up the courtroom, and there's people that weren't allowed in, and it was just super strict. I've never been in such an environment before. It was
Scary.
nerving.
Yeah, scary and unnerving. Here is the Facebook page for Barbara. So tell us a little bit. Did you get in? Were you able to watch the proceedings?
Oh yeah, I got in the front seat, and just everything. Just looked at everybody, and just trying to just pick up what's going on in there. But there was just a real business as usual kind of feeling in there, and it just felt, I don't know, just felt like the wrong direction. You could just feel that it was for another purpose. It wasn't for, you didn't feel like justice at all. It felt more like just some kind of process that they pushed people through, you know?
Right, right. In fact, others have commented that in the emails, I've been getting a lot of emails and not really been able to participate. But it's like they're making a point, an example. Want to make an example out of this, and I have absolutely no doubt about it that every charge possible that they can possibly dream up will be leveled at her. They're doing this across the country. It's truly a battle. It's a fight back, because what really is the problem, and what Barbara was doing basically, is trying to expose the bank fraud.
Yeah, they don't like that
No.
at all. They're really trying to throw a monkey wrench in that program actively.
And what's really been discouraging, and I'm not even going to show it today. I've seen a lot of things that we just don't have time to show everything, but I do remember the interview from Karen Hudis. She's the whistleblower from the
Bank.
World Bank, and she just point blank states it's all Eric Holder's fault because he's in charge of the Department of Justice, and he refuses to do justice. And so when the head of our whole justice system is unjust, then for us to expect justice somewhere else down the line is a lot to expect. And so literally,
Come above and go trickle all the way down.
absolutely. So as you know, as we've seen, like, and the feel that you get out of this from what I'm hearing from people that were there, it's this agency, this department has thrown their lot in with Eric, with the banks against the people. In the end, they'll regret it. They'll all regret it. Everyone will regret it, because they will be shown how they have been misled, fooled, cheated also. But that's what we're facing right now as fighters, is that we're going to be ridiculed. We're going to be, punished for picking the wrong side, so to speak. But in the end, we'll win. I know that.
Absolutely. We just need to wake everybody up. This is so intense and serious,
Yeah.
and so many people are floating along in their lives. Well, actually struggling, not floating. Floating sounds like something you might do in a parade. But this is
Exactly.
they're just so busy with their own lives that it's hard to pick up what's being laid down, and that we need to change that.
Well, I do, and I absolutely agree. And I do believe that circumstances are coming that will, of themselves, wake people up. And it's not going to be fun. No pain, no gain.
Pick up morning.
Yeah, and there's going to be some pain running around. But we need to leverage that as best we can, as fast and as broad-based as we can. And I don't mean just this country, I mean the planet. Because literally this is happening to everybody, everywhere, if it hasn't already happened. It's finally hitting first world countries. Third world's already been under the bus But when we see what's going on now, and the few of us, and many groups, we're all fragmented. I think there's an awful lot of people that are awake, but we don't know how to connect.
Camps, but on the same side, but we don't know about each other, or we haven't
That's
found
right.
our way to connect all the dots yet.
That's right. And that's what I'm working on. And that's new tools. And that's why I took 3 days off this week. I'm going to show you the new tools, and then you're going to help me use them, because it's...
Way to go, CJ. Well, any questions? Otherwise, I'm sure you've got lots to talk about. Nice to share.
Well, we thank you, Kimmy. We appreciate that. And we're just waiting for Renee. She's going to join us if possible and share with us, her update. Oh, and she asked me to get a HUD statement. I don't have a HUD up. All these people asking me 5 minutes before the show, hey, do this, hey, do that. Sorry, I'm a little behind. Anyway, what we'd like to do is move on. We really do need to show you the tools, bring you up to speed. Before you go, Kimmy, I just want to show this. I don't know if you've heard about this, but now there's a foreclosure fighter, an Occupy foreclosure fighter, who wrote anti-big bank messages in chalk on the sidewalk, and they are charging him, facing 13 years in prison. Okay, this is outrageous. This is outrageous. And they're saying, and in the process, because it's, quote, vandalism, even though it's washable chalk, it's kids' chalk, it's vandalism, they don't want to hear anything in the court about free speech, his Fourth Amendment right, anything, nothing. We just want to sentence him. So this court has also thrown their lot in with the banks. And as others have said, and I'm not an expert, I'll try to repeat this as accurately as I can. The courts in our country that we think of as our courts are actually administrative courts, and they administer the rules according to the corporations that own them. And all of our government are actually private corporations. I haven't even really talked about that. I've actually looked it up. You can look it up. And we need to do that next week. I have to make a note. We need to look up, because I was shocked. I've heard these things, but if you look it up, and I believe it's, I have to look this website up. I'm sorry, I forget right now where it is. You will see that, for example, I did for Santa Rosa. So Santa Rosa is a private corporation. And there's a whole slew of private corporations with just a few employees and income. It's like, what is this about? We need to understand, this is the wake up part. We need to recognize what these courts are, how we don't really have justice as we think about it in them, even though that's what we've been led to believe, it's all a myth, and how our governments are actually not structured the way we think they are. It's truly amazing.
It's like the Federal Reserve. It's not federal.
Yeah, and it's not a reserve. They're not reserving anything other than the right to just create credit, money, our currency. At the drop of a hat, they can make another $1 trillion. I mean, that is the point. And I've actually corrected. I've been saying to people it's all about the money. And it is, but I'm thinking of the actual dollars that we use as our currency. Often the people are thinking, I'm talking about, some people have a lot of money and other people don't have a lot of money. It's all about that. And so I've started to clarify. It's all about the currency, the money that we are forced to use as our currency. And by doing so, we are forced to pay the bankers interest on it. That's the key. And I think as we clarify that people will actually start to go, huh? Because that game, that structure, we, the people, can change overnight. That's the heart and soul. That is that is the start of all the tyranny. And we can change that. That's the hope that I bring, that I want to infect the world with. And that is, all we have to do is what Iceland did and change the money that we use as currency, and we can do that with our Congress voting on it, boom, like that, and we can repudiate the bankster money. And so anyway, I I don't want to get off on that, and I see that Renee's joined us. So Renee, we welcome you to the show. Thanks, Kimmy, for sharing.
Hey, thank you, CJ.
All right. All right. All right. Yes, Iceland. Go Iceland. Renee, welcome to the show. And I apologize. I just ran out of time. I'll hunt for a HUD right now while you're talking.
No worries. Good morning, CJ.
Good morning,
everyone. What I'm going to share today, I've got a couple of very important things to share, and I just hope that we can all. Let me see. Let me get on this too. I was trying to log into something I needed to have for this. And anyhow, what I'm going to share today is just a quick update on my small claims action.
Okay.
And what's happening is, as you all know, I've got another court date of July 16th. Well, maybe not all of you know that. But on July 16th, I'm going to be going back, and I went down to the court. I did e-filing, all of that I shared with you before. And
Right.
then what's happened is I've had to do a subpoena because they would not produce the documents. She didn't have them with her. And so I put the subpoena together, and, none of us really know what we're doing to a complete science, so I thought it had to be served and filed in the court. Well, no, it didn't. So what happened was I went down to self-help, which, by the way, in Orange County, they have a new, in the Santa Ana branch of the court there, they have a new self-help office, and it's amazing.
Cool.
They've got probably a dozen computers. You can go down there. If you don't have the availability for everything at home, printer and that, you'd be surprised what the self-help can offer you, because everything is there. They'll print for you. It's amazing.
And Renee, just a minute. I'm taking notes, guys, because you'll see why in a minute. The self-help, so where is that located?
Well, in Santa Ana, the self-help, you ask when you go through the metal detectors and everything, but it's usually on the same floor as you enter, and you go in and you go into the self-help, you go up to the window, then they let you back. They used to have the computer, just two of them two or three sitting right in the office. Well, now they have a door that separates it. You get to go back. They set you up on a computer. You log in.
And just a sec, Renee, this is at the county administrative offices?
No, this is at the court.
At the
This is
court.
just like where you go for your civil proceedings and everything
Okay.
else. It's right. It used to be right by the elevators, but now it's around the corner where the coffee machine used to be.
All right, so what I'm hearing, and this is why I'm asking, so that all of us can capitalize on this, everyone should actually go in and ask if there's a self-help place in the court, around the court
You
area.
have them.
The courts have them. Let's focus on
Yeah.
that. I didn't know that.
And you go in, and the forms. It's just like entering the .org on your computer at home, and the forms can come up, etc.
Right.
But you actually can do it right there, so you have someone to ask questions of.
Perfect.
You can, they can help you as far as anything, but of course legal advice.
Right.
It's extremely helpful. So
That's
I sat
great.
down there and I filled the subpoena out, copied, sent 3 copies to the desk. So I went up to the desk, got my copies, and I said, okay, now, do I take it over to the court? And she looked at me, she goes, no, you don't file the subpoenas, you serve the subpoenas. And of course, I got everything done I needed to do there. Then I went to the sheriff's department and had them, I did the service
Yes.
with them, so they
Yes.
served it.
Yes.
So now I'm waiting to get the proof of service
Right.
that I can take with me.
Right.
And basically what I asked for was every bit of that file, everything that touched that file between the time I signed to buy my home, the purchase agreement,
Yes.
to now, to current. If there's anything that's, you never know.
Exactly.
They keep notes when you call in. They're supposed to.
Exactly.
So I asked for everything. I asked for the money net report, daily report transactions. What that is that's the money coming and going.
Yes, the wire transfers, that information. And
Wire
trust me, guys,
transfers, the
Listen up.
the closing.
We're going to talk about this in the future, in today's show. These are some of the things that we need to know and how to do. Go ahead.
Right. So then, because remember when I went to court the last time, all I was asking for was the file. I wanted proof that I got what I paid for.
Right,
Proof
right.
that I got what I paid for. I
Exactly.
just wanted to see the receipts that correlated with each line transaction. So when they didn't produce it, that is when on the way out of the court, that's when even Randy was with me. He went down, and it was just interesting because the lady was so nice that was there for the escrow company. She said, you have a right to see that file.
That's
And
great.
he looked at me, and I looked at him, and we got on the elevator. She went to a different
Yep.
direction. She didn't get on the elevator with us. But you could see she genuinely understood that what I was asking for
Exactly.
was not anything that I shouldn't be able to have.
And Renee, I want to insert right here that this is one of the keys to the people winning. And that is the people on the other side working for these organizations are not necessarily corrupt or against us. They're just having a job too. And
Right.
the last time I went over to the supervisors myself to read, something about whatever it was I was doing, I can't even remember now. Somebody in the office that works there, was very supportive. And she just said, you go, you tell them. We want the people to win. So literally all of us need to keep our eyes open. Don't walk in with chips on our shoulders. Walk in as if the people at the front desk and all the people actually working there are going to be on your side, because that's how you're going to win them, and then they will be on your side.
Well, this woman was very nice. I had no
Yeah.
bone to pick with her. Randy and I sat. We were very cordial. She literally was given a handshake and a thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope we can reach an agreement today. This isn't about you and me. This is about
Exactly.
me making sure I got what I paid for.
Absolutely.
What I filed for was default on insurance and breach of contract. Now, when people hear default on insurance, they think, oh, her first mode was going straight towards title insurance, homeowners insurance. That's not what I was talking about. What I'm talking about is insurance that the escrow did their job
Right.
and that I got what I was insured I would get,
Right.
everything I paid for.
Right.
So that kind of threw her, and Ronald Donald and I were the ones that originally, he helped me originally when I filed this as far as what to come up with.
Yeah.
And then breach of contract, fiduciary duty, I did not add, but that I would tell people, add, breach of fiduciary duty, because they do have a duty to you, to them, to everybody. They're accountable to everyone in that escrow. So
Right.
anyhow,
Right.
so that's where I stand with that one. And through all of this, one thing that is now resonating very strongly with me and with other agents I'm talking to, other people in different states, and I've mentioned this to you before, CJ, but it's taking on momentum now, is what we're trying to express is that there may be people out there who are listening now who feel overwhelmed and just want to short sell their house,
Right.
want to stay, that they're feeling beat up. There
Right.
may be people that just want to do a deed in lieu.
Right.
Maybe people out there that say, you know what, I got foreclosed on 3 years ago. My credit's okay now. I really want to buy something because prices are in some areas where I can afford it again.
Yep.
But that doesn't, I don't know what to do. I don't want to buy clouded title.
Right.
So what's very important here is that we learn to negotiate what we need and not have to litigate to get it. And when I say this, what I'm talking about is when you go to sell your home, if you decide that's what you're going to do, if you don't have a real estate agent that understands this market, you do not want to touch this because they'll mess the whole thing up.
Absolutely.
It's very simple.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I've seen it, been there, done that, watched it.
Yeah, they do that quite often. It's very frustrating in this market. But
Yeah.
anyhow, we're getting there. So what I told people is when you have a buyer come in, the buyer gives you an agreement to purchase. You either accept it or you don't. But when you do your disclosures, in your disclosures, you have to disclose that you have been made aware that there is potential irregularities within your documentation, that you are not sure who you're paying is the one that's supposed to be getting, or that that there may be a reason for the new buyers to really do due diligence within the title. disclosures come back to the buyer then would have to have an addendum made that says before they go any further in that transaction, they want and require that the lender who is sending the payoff, or the entity sending the payoff, send the documentation to escrow for holding to closing that would be returned to the previous mortgage as required in the deed of trust. And before you go any further, now you've got escrow and title actually doing their job.
well, okay. Doing their job for you, not the job they were really hired to do for the banks.
So then what you do is you have escrow and title, but you also tell them on both parties that you want to be CC'd on every correspondence, that you do not want any backdoor dealings as far as you being left off of anything, and you want everybody to be accountable for everything that's being requested. You have a right to do that. So then what happens is there's going to be one of two things happen. You're either going to have the fake lender, servicer, try to send documents that aren't signed or copies, and you have to be very specific that copies will not do. We want the documentation that is noted within the deed of trust that is required to be, remember you have two documents that have to go together to make this illegal, right? And what are those two documents? Think about that. They have to have those returned. You have got to get the note returned to you in order to satisfy that buyer that he's not going to, a year down the road, have someone knocking on his door foreclosing on him.
That is part of the problem.
I know it can happen.
Yeah, that is part of the problem.
Okay?
Yep.
Then the next thing is if you have your home held in trust, and somebody before I go further there, then what happens is if escrow and title come back and it's proven that there is no clear debt owed there from anybody, that they can verify that nothing has come, they're saying they don't have any of this, then you have an option. You can go to escrow and say, okay, I want to be the note holder on this note, that my home that I'm selling, because we're being told that there's nothing owed on it. You then can become the note holder for that buyer and take a first trust deed position, which would then be, no one could argue after closing. You don't have to carry a lot of money. You could carry, $500. You could carry $100. You could carry $50. You're carrying a first trust deed position, which then is recorded, which then what does that do? Think about what this does. It puts you in the position that nobody can come in ahead of you and say that money is owed, because through escrow, through title, through the transaction, there's been communication, there's been proof, and it's all been proven. Now, if in fact the company or entity pretending that you owe money to can't produce any of this, therefore the buyer can't buy, now you have a situation where you can go against their insurance for damages. You don't have to go into a court. Remember, these people carry insurance. So instead of filing a litigation claim at this point, you can go file a claim against their insurance company for damages. I, as the agent who didn't get a commission, so I have lost wages, I was damaged because they can't perform and they lied. The seller was damaged because they can't sell their house now because there's no way to, because it's proven the title is clouded. The buyer, they're screwed because this was a home they were buying and investing in. They don't have as big of a loss, but guess what? The seller and the real estate agent do. So then what you do is you go through that process, and this is all I'm telling you what I'm going to be doing. Just an FYI. This is the process we're going to be handling properties going forward. And I suggest people look into this. Not only is it legal, but you have legal entities filing documents for you, escrow and title. You're not going into a court of law, into a county recorder's and filing a revised deed or anything else, because you don't have to. They have to do the recordings for you. Title does it.
Renee, this is a little bit off topic, if you don't mind. I'd like to discuss this, and I'm going to show you how we can start having this conversation as a nation. The fact of the matter is, I think there's a couple of weaknesses. Number one, it's called the black hole. You're going to demand this all day long, and you're not going to get any response, or the buyer's just going to disappear. And so I totally agree that if you can get them wedged into this hole, then you can win. But I also don't think that it's going to be that easy to wedge, to get that kind of response, to get any kind of a response from the servicer. They're just going to say, we don't do that.
Well, DJ,
Boom.
you've used words that I don't like in my vocabulary. If and maybe kind of things don't exist. This is not an if. When you go into this is not an if they produce the documents. This is if they do or if they don't. No, it's what they do or what they don't.
Okay. Okay, Renee, let's stop. Okay, I don't want to argue with you about it, because the if is we don't control the servicers. We don't control title. We don't control so many of these issues that just because you ask for it, go to court and ask for it, you can't even get it then. So that's the thing that I want to talk about later in the but we've got to get back to the show today. There's just way too many things that we need to update. Thanks so much for sharing. We're really I've got you down on July 16. That's your next court date. And so we'll be supporting her on that effort. And the bottom line is we can't force the banks. We can do things if there's laws, for example, and I want to bring that to your attention, there are issues and things that we really absolutely can do. And today, on today's show, I really need to get through some of these things because they're very, very important to our livelihoods. One is the markets now are really, really, really scary. And what part of the scary part of the people that are in these markets, I'm not a gold trader, I don't have derivatives, you aren't either, I'm sure, but the fact is, the people in these markets cannot believe that their screaming isn't being heard. And this is the vision that I've got. The whole planet, all the people, all the countries, we're on different levels of a ship. We've been floating along, and literally the media, the banks have used the media, and they've slammed and locked the doors shut at each level, and every level is soundproofed. And then they torpedo the outside and they sink that segment of our society. So when all of us faced foreclosure, lost homes, all these millions of people, they're screaming, screaming, screaming. Nobody's hearing. The people that are trading in the gold bullion banks, they're not hearing the screaming because the door's been slammed shut. They've torpedoed that level of the boat. It's flooded everybody, ruined 16, pick a number, $6-8 trillion, whatever the amount is that us, lost just in this country on the equity and the property. And so now they've slammed shut these markets, the gold derivatives and bond markets. And unless you are in those floors, unless you're paying attention, got your ear to the door, you don't hear them screaming as they get ruined. And they're gradually sinking the boat. And the whole point is about the currency. It's all about the currency. So real quickly, I want to talk about these things, the bank foreclosure frenzy, why they foreclose instead of loan mods. We've got an insider giving us the scoop. And then how we can beat back the bank attack. We really can. We really can. And that is the key. So here's some quick updates. You'll have the links in the comment section. This is the price damage of gold and silver metal, physical metal. This is one of the savviest and most well-connected hedge fund managers in the world, said that the price damage in gold and silver is almost beyond belief. This was published 2 days ago. He calls it a criminal syndicate of banks has now positioned themselves for a massive and spectacular rise in the price of gold and silver. That is the point. That is the point. They're smashing it for a reason, and it's an intentional smash. It is actually shocking to those in the business because it is not connected to a real market. It is not. No investor would dump so much of their gold at the bottom of the market in huge chunks. It's definitely manipulated. And here it is. The gold is now breaking the $1,200 an ounce level. The cost of mining it is $1,300 an ounce. So they're breaking the production companies. They're going to put them out of business, ruin their stock. I think the banksters will buy up the stock pennies on the dollar, and then they will own all the mining companies. Think about it, having the banks own all the production. This is manipulation by Western governments in the gold market, and it's destroying the future of the gold supply. There's only 65 mining companies in the world. That is the global mining industry. And as they break company after company after company who shut their doors, who's been drained, the gold simply won't be there. The Western banks are selling it. It'll be drained. A lot of projects at these mining companies have already been canceled or deferred. How can you mine when the cost of what you're selling is below your cost of getting it? And it just is so striking. They did this in foreclosures and home prices. They ruined the major contractors, all the developers. They've bankrupted them because the cost of, it's like I said before, when you can buy a house at $75 a square foot and the cost to build is $200 a square foot, guess you ain't building there. And that's what's happened, because construction contractors and developers are typically local. They work locally. It's not like somebody in Sonoma County is going to be building something over in Georgia. And so when they break these industries, they break the local economy. That's what they're doing with the mining companies. They break the mining. It's not like the mining company in South Africa could suddenly go to Australia. The mining company is fixed in that locale. And so this is the point. They've already shut down several of the mining companies in the planet. Now, here's something they haven't been telling you about. It's I have it highlighted. They have already lost $300 trillion in derivatives. Oh, and I love this, gold's rebound. Well, the rebound, this was written today, this morning, and gold rebounded $10 out of 1,200. I don't think that's a rebound, frankly. I just think that's a normal fluctuation. I don't think there's any of that in here because gold is still just barely above $1,200 an ounce. The lowest I saw yesterday was $1,201. Now it's $1,214 or something. And so the point is the global derivatives market has already suffered a staggering $300 trillion losses. These are massive derivative losses. They're being hidden from the public. Help lead the rebound in gold. Maybe, maybe not. I already know that what these losses are doing, they have super priority for shutting down and stealing your bank accounts. So get your money out of the banks. Get it out, because it's like Cyprus. They're going to take it because derivatives have to be paid. They're super priority. They get paid first above everything else. So it's coming, guys. Time is short. Brace yourself and get prepared. Get all your money out. Get whatever metals you possibly can, because they're running out of supply. And I don't care if the price is $1,000 an ounce. If they don't have anything to sell. So now what are you going to do? Oh, now I wanted to just point this out. Gold slumps to 3-year low, hits South Africa. That's all the producers, the gold mining companies, they're shutting down. But I wanted to point this out because here it says, the slump in gold was fueled by the strong economic data released in the U.S. on Thursday. The U.S. data showed strong gains in business spending plans, and U.S. home prices posted record gains, indicating that recovery may be on track in the key sector of economy. These factors boosted the stock markets and supported the U.S. Fed's plan to scale back extreme monetary easing in the coming months. And let me tell you something. The strongest lie is the one mixed with truth. So there's some truth in here. Yeah, home prices posted record gains. And yeah, gold has slumped. But the reasoning, why? Fictitious, totally made up. And this is sent out for consumption. And people looking at this kind of an article without the understanding of the actual fundamentals behind the scenes think, oh, things are going great. They're not. Here's Bratton's, the link for her for the Facebook. That'll be on the page, the comment section. I wanted to talk quickly about the Bank of America's foreclosure frenzy. We know they've been foreclosing. The foreclosing starts are up. We've got employees that are claiming that they're told to lie on all the modifications. And so you have all of this, he said, she said, back and forth. Bank of America says, oh no, none of that is true. All of that is false. Yeah, all 7 of those people, they made that stuff up, even though they're in different parts of the country and never met each other. And so the fact is, we already know HAMP has failed miserably because the banks will not do it. We know those people under affidavit are telling us the truth. We know that. And so the fact of the matter is, why are they foreclosing? And here is the secret. This is what we need to hear. Why are they foreclosing?
Hello again. We're going to talk about mortgage foreclosures again. And by now we've talked to thousands of people across the country, homeowners who got caught up in this crisis. And out of that talk, I have to tell you, there's one thing that never made sense to me. Why these mortgage companies would hammer these homeowners with late fees and other charges, seemingly trying to force them into foreclosure. Why would they do that? Well, today our investigator, Angie Moreski, provides some insight.
Well, Chris, what these mortgage companies and loan servicers don't want you to know is they make more money off of you as a homeowner when they keep your loan in default. We've been investigating these companies for more than 2 years now, and what we've learned is in some cases they have incentives, even contractual agreements with investors that make it difficult for them to work with you to prevent a foreclosure. We got some eye-opening insight into how these companies operate when I interviewed a former employee of EMC, a loan servicer owned by Bear Stearns.
What Bear Stearns did, or EMC did, was they would look for loans that were in the defaulted status, and they would want the bulk set.
Why would a loan servicing company want to buy defaulted loans in bulk? Isn't it a bad thing when homeowners don't pay their mortgages? Apparently not, says former EMC employee Miranda Henderson.
They make more money servicing these loans, so the more that they're in default is the more money that they are apt to make off this loan as long as they stay in default.
Late fees and penalties add up fast for homeowners in default and increase profits for servicers. Henderson says EMC even considered homes in foreclosure attractive when they were looking to buy loan pools to service.
Say Countrywide would have 15, 20,000 loans and 13,000 of them were in foreclosure. To EMC, that would look like a good deal because to them, that would make more money for them.
Henderson recalled one specific case of a couple about to lose their home to foreclosure in California.
It was an elderly couple who they had lived in their house almost 30 years.
That couple's foreclosure landed on Henderson's desk. She got a call from their real estate agent asking her to stop the foreclosure because they had the money to pay off the mortgage.
I documented it in our system that we were going to withhold the foreclosure sale for 24 hours.
Stopping that foreclosure sale got her in big trouble because the home was worth a lot more in resale than the couple owed on the mortgage.
I got called into the office with my supervisor and with the director of foreclosures saying, we were watching this loan, you shouldn't have done this, we lost a lot of money, don't do that again.
Henderson says the investor's interest seemed to come first above the homeowners.
$100 going once.
The faster we could get the foreclosure to move, the better Bear Stearns was happy about it because the investors would actually make money that way because we had a contract saying that we would foreclose within this amount of time on these particular properties, and if we didn't do that, then the investors got a kickback because we were not meeting our legal agreement with the investors.
So you actually had quotas to meet to foreclose on properties?
Yes.
Henderson thought her job was to help homeowners, but says it became clear that was not the case, even when she thought the company was in the wrong.
We would have 3 or 4 late fees that I thought that should be waived, and it would take me several months just to try and get those late fees waived, and it was a very difficult process.
A difficult process, she says, penalized employees who tried to help people.
We had stats we needed to meet, so if the process was lengthy, maybe we wouldn't take the time and the handling necessary in order to do the loan correctly.
Loan servicers count on many homeowners to pay late fees and penalties, even if they are unfair, just to save their home.
It was not worth it. To me, I'm there to service, I'm there to help. I'm not there to just take your home away from you.
So contrary to conventional wisdom, loans in default are in fact money makers for loan servicers. So you can forget all those catchy names like the Hope Team and the Mod Squad. The reality we see day in and day out is these companies are not living up to all the PR spin that they want to help homeowners avoid foreclosure. Chris?
Thanks for that, and thanks for watching. Until next time.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? We're just the shills for profits of other people. Our loans are just manipulated, sold, bartered. Everybody else makes money off the homeowner who's losing the house. And they make more money when you lose it. This is what's absolutely wrong with the whole securitization concept, the whole issue of funding home loans. So I don't talk any more about that, but you know where I'm headed. I don't want any more of these loans on anybody's home. That's just outrageous. And of course, here's another article. The investigation shows that politicians profit off of foreclosure sales. Well, duh. All the owners knew this instinctively because the barrier to getting a loan mod to keep the house had been incredible. Everybody's lined up to fight to take the house. Why? Because everybody else makes more money, and this is what's so outrageous. Now, I want to step from here's the situation into here's the tools, and this is what we do going forward. So the very first thing, many of you have already seen this perhaps, and that is, yes, ka-ching. This is a press release from the Department of Justice, believe it or not, and the first person that's at some upper level executive. This is Lorraine Brown's sentencing, and she was the founder of DocX and a top executive at Lender Processing Services, and pleaded guilty to wire fraud, mail fraud and wire fraud in forging 1 million foreclosure documents, overseeing the staff that did the forgery and the false notarizations. And we already have talked about that several times over the last several months. They finally got around to sentencing her, and she's sentenced to 5 years in prison, 2 years probation, and a personal fine of $15,000. Someone who was there at the proceeding said that she was crying and her husband looked upset. Gee, for forging and overseeing fraud that's used to steal these homes. I say, and so I've already set out to write press release to news people and others. Okay, here's the $64 trillion question. You've said she did 1 million forged documents, oversaw that. So are those foreclosures based on those forged documents going to be unwound? Are they going to be declared void? Are those homeowners going to get them back? What about the damage those homeowners have suffered due to this wrongful foreclosure? Are they going to get any restitution for that? And then, gee, what about the millions of other documents by these other foreclosure mills that forge and fake documents for all of the securitized loans? It's about 8 million now, or grows constantly. They're constantly foreclosing and constantly spewing out this forged and fake paperwork to take the houses and making money off of it hand and fist while the people are cast out and in the street. So the fact of the matter is, I believe that this is a huge precedent. This is a win. This is a win-win-win for the people. And we need to take this and blast it to everybody. This needs to become the talking point of the foreclosure movement. Every Occupy around the world needs to take this because they're forging these documents everywhere. So this is a win that we need to leverage. Help me figure out how to leverage any way you possibly can. I'm open ears, and I'm going to show you some tools that I've been developing so that we can actually get a broader audience. Here's the link for the FBI, because at the bottom of this press release, in fact, I'll just click back at the bottom. See, it says right down here, the task force, they start to brag about the task force. Woo, woo, woo. Of course, this is only the first and one person that evidently the industry has thrown under the bus. Well, take her. Okay, I want to see some men going to prison for this. Don't just throw the women under the bus. That's sort of how I think about it. So, for more information on the task force, stopfraud.gov. Okay, so here is stopfraud.gov. It sends you to the FBI, and here's the FBI tip line, which I've already filled out. So why don't you fill this out and say, here's a tip. Look at that. You got her. Go get the rest of these people. Send them your forged document. Something. Complain. I sent them my link to the Attorney General, the 35-minute presentation with the 18 forged document worksheets on 18 properties. And so here, take a look at this. Just watch this and then just go after Recon Trust. What more do you need? Just tell me, I'll get it for you. So send in your tips. Now, I also wanted to talk about, the fact is, a couple weeks ago, we talked about how the markets are going to be destroyed. They've hammered and ruining gold and silver. That's for their own personal profit and gain. You mark my words. That's the only reason they're playing that game. And they have the really long view. The game they're playing. Make no mistake about it. And it's really rather simple. They want to break all the other currencies in the planet, and they want a one world currency. It's all about the currency. It really is. So what they're doing now is going to break the bond market. Remember, they were going to start in Japan, go to Europe, and then come to the U.S. So the trigger's been pulled, and the slaughter of the bonds has begun. And here's just the little graph where they talk about the yield on junk bonds sank to a ridiculous low in May, but now look at what the yield's been doing just since May. And so why should we care? Why does the average American care? Snag your family, friends, and neighbors with this fact, because what's happening, cheap money's over. Mortgage rates have already, I just talked to one of my lenders that I trust, and he said they've just been bouncing all around. The mortgage rates, they went up almost to 5%. Okay, in an era of 3%, 5 sounds a lot. In the overall scheme of what interest rates have been down the years, it's still reasonable. But you got to understand that if you don't buy now, if you don't lock in your rates now, they're going to go higher. Because when they ruin the bonds, that means cheap money's over, businesses have to pay more to borrow, owners have to pay more to buy. It's going to cause an economic slowdown. Home prices are going to stabilize. They should stabilize, possibly fall. As they ruin bond markets, they ruin cash buyers. They ruin investors. Investors get more scared. They decide to pull their cash out of the real estate market. All of these things, they're relatively slow moving, and particularly in real estate. You'll see bonds and stocks go like this. Real estate, is going to be, it's almost like a moving average, because it just takes longer to buy and sell property, or to get into escrow and then fall out because, oh, I want my cash, I don't want to buy that. So we're going to see some slumping, I swear. And just watch, there won't be as many jobs, and part-time workers will get fewer hours. Raises will become more infrequent, except for local, county, and state and federal employees. They seem to always get a raise. It's like, oh my God, we're all losing our shirts. Everybody else is in distress. And yet the elected people, they still think like the money's coming in. In the end, it won't. And so this is why we should care about it, and this is why we need to spread the word. Now, here is something else happening behind the scenes. I just got this morning. It was just printed today. It's from Neil Garfield's site. And notice, they're talking about how are we going to take over B of A and Citi because they're going to collapse. The banks are collapsing. Duh. Notice how the mainstream media is talking about it. I challenge you. Do what I do. I get on my little phone and I have all the little updates, all the breaking news, little articles, and not one, none, zero, talked anything about gold, bonds, bank failure. The silence is deafening. We're talking about Eric Snowden, and where is he now? He's flying around the world. Any distraction will do. So stop paying attention to that smoke and mirrors and get everybody you know to focus on the real issues. The real issue is the system's collapsing around us, and they have slammed the door shut on any media. So they're going to torpedo that floor of the ship, and that floor is going to flood, and those people are going to scream until they're ruined, and nobody's going to hear. This is the point. They want to keep it in dead silence. Now, I wanted to point out to you, and so you'll need to look at this article after the show, because this is why Neil keeps insisting on following the money trail. Don't follow the paper trail. They lie. The paper trail is full of lies. Look at all the recorded documents. They're all fake. They're all lies. But you look at the money trail, and it cannot be faked. Or to put it more succinctly, anyone who tries to fake the money trail will end up in jail. So they want checks, wire transfers. Transfers leave footprints throughout the electronic funds transfer infrastructure. In the paper trail, there are documents that describe transactions as if they had occurred, but it's the money trail that will tell you if it actually did or not, and under what terms. And so here's a hint. The money trail, the canceled checks, and the wire transfer receipts is the main point. Paper trail only used to corroborate allegations concerning the reality of the transactions. And this is why in other articles, Neil and other attorneys have argued there never was any money. So there cannot be any damage. If a bank didn't pay anything for a loan, then how can they claim they were damaged? They can't be. And in fact, with the loss share agreements in the FDIC, if anybody got damaged, it's you and me, the taxpayer, because the FDIC is going to pay them more than they ever claimed they got from the banks. Now, also wanted to mention, this is one thing that the representative in Iceland, the parliament, she was an activist, got elected to parliament, she was there at the public banking conference. She spoke, and one of the things she made very plain was that 5 years before everything blew up, only 5 years, all the banks in Iceland were public banks. They had public banks. And the banksters came in and paid off the people in the government so that they could take over, they could turn them into private banks. It was going to be so much better for the country. And of course, they bribed these people to do that. And they claimed that they paid. But again, the claim was on paper, not on a money transfer trail. And when it was finally fully exposed, okay, where is the cash payment for these banks? There wasn't any. So the banksters took over these banks, claiming they made payments, did not, and in 5 years had created loans 5 times the gross domestic product of Iceland. Iceland had no choice. They had to repudiate that debt because they couldn't possibly ever have paid it off. It would have bankrupted the country. And so that was their choice. And they just said, no, we're not going to pay you. And they repudiated that debt. They put their banks back into public status. And they rewrote the Constitution. And they imprisoned their banksters. So it makes all the difference in the world with the money trail. And like is pointing out right here, the money trail will often be very different from the paper trail. They're going to go blah, 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 smoke and mirrors, hope you listen, wink, wink, while over here is the actual transaction, is the actual fraud and corruption going on. The whole thing is instituted, planned, designed. It is all about the banks getting more and more control of you and me. And that is the point. And obviously, as rates rise and bond markets are hurt, mortgage-backed securities are bonds. So they're looking at Citi and Bank of America not being able to survive this. How are we going to handle it? Just thought you should know. So, in the process of the lawsuits, here's just a quick little article about I call this the essence of securitization failure. This is why they have to forge the foreclosure documents. They wouldn't be forging if they didn't have to. If there was a real owner, are you kidding? The real owner would be suing them for forging documents. And so because they do it with impunity, there are no real owners. It's really obvious, and it's called securitization failure. And this is an article that discusses invoking that in a foreclosure defense. Now, the currency, and I want to get to the tools because I know we're running a little long, I apologize, but this is real important. And then I'm looking for your feedback and use. And then we'll start up fresh on Monday. Everything is rigged. This time it's currencies. And this is a very short article by Matt Taibbi over at Rolling Stone. And he says, I'm going to get in more detail later. I'm on a deadline, aren't we all? But this screams out to be talked about. And he's saying traders are now manipulating the benchmark foreign exchange rates used to set the value of trillions of dollars of investments. This is coming out of 5 dealers who are in that level of the boat. And of course, the lids are slammed shut. So the only place you ever hear about this manipulation is from those of us that have our ear to the door. What's happening inside there? We can't hear. They're torpedoing this segment of wealth and producers and investors to cheat and ruin them. And this is manipulating the exchange rates. Employees, listen how they're doing it. They're front running the client orders and rigging the rates by pushing through trades before and during a 60-second window when the benchmarks are set. So they take 1 minute to set the benchmarks. Now, it was a few weeks ago, and I remember talking about it and showing you the article where they were talking about nanoseconds. This is, like 50. Whoever could. They were making the trunk lines straighter, trying to give everybody the same access, because we're talking milliseconds. Excuse me, not nanoseconds. Milliseconds. That 11, or the difference between 11 milliseconds and 15 milliseconds was enormous. So imagine 60 seconds. That's like an eternity. So the fact is, they've game in the system, and the people that are blowing the whistle don't want to have anybody know who they are. I think they're afraid that, this is so important, massive, dealing with trillions of dollars. They would have an accident, I'm sure. And so this is the point. Some of these people have worked there for more than 20 years, and they're watching this fraud go on. And so now the rates are being rigged in the foreign exchange markets, meaning that if it was true, it would almost certainly trump LIBOR. In other words, how bad can it get? You ain't seen nothing yet, because what they're going to do, this is the whole point. So remember, this is the point. They are manipulating the currencies so that they can get their one world currency. They want to use one world currency that they create out of thin air and force you and me and everybody on the planet into their enslavement. That is the point. Because remember, whoever controls the currency, they don't care who controls the government. It's immaterial. They control the currency, they control you. They control the governments. They control everybody, because they get to make the money for free. So imagine, just put yourself in that shoe. Just think about it. Okay, what if you were the only person on the planet and you could create as much as you want, anytime you want? What would you do with it? Then you'll start to think like a bankster. You'll start to understand why it leads to tyranny. So here is one of the tools that I've been working on. This is a new website. It's called the greattransition.org, and it's GREATRANSITION, just one T, Great Transition, because the one with 2 T's is already taken. So I said 1 T, that's fine, .org. And this is the website. And what I wanted to just point out to you some of the things about the website so that you're aware of it, and we can hit the ground running. Because the idea on the website is to be able to organize and make it easy for these dozens of conversations we're having about this topic, that topic, the other topic. That's why I've got thousands of emails that I can't even respond to because, some of them talk about this and some of them talk about that. And I'm just, I can't even remember in some cases what the last thing was that we said about the topic. So this is the blog discussion. This is a great transition where we talk all about the money. And I've added the explanation. It's what we're forced to use as our currency. Everybody in this country needs to understand it's about the currency. It's not about who owns the money, really. It's about who gets to create it for free and make the rest of us use it and pay them interest on it. And so that's why it's the foundation of tyranny is laid when a few are allowed to create the currency and force everyone else to use that currency and pay interest on it to them. That's the heart and soul of the fraud. That is it. And that we can change. We can change that. We can change that gradually. We can change it overnight. There's many solutions. And so we must reinstate the people's right to create this credit for ourselves, to create our own currency, and to use it without having to pay interest in somebody else's private pocket. It's now crucial to our very survival. And that's why we have so many tyrannies going on everywhere we look. Why they're doing this, that, and the other. Because they have free money and the rest of us have to work for a living. So I want to just give a word of encouragement. We're in the middle of a great transition from tyranny to a new paradigm of equality and justice for all. And I know we're going to win. But it won't be painless. There will be pain. Many, many people are already feeling pain. And it's that pain that will wake them up. We keep saying, people got to wake up. You trust me, they ruin the bond market, they ruin the stock market, they steal their accounts. The people will be wide awake. And they will be really ready to hear, so let's start getting that message out. Now, I wanted to point out, I welcome co-authors on any topic of specialty. So just email me. If you have a blog you want posted, then let's co-author it and I will stick it into that discussion. And so on the blog, I have the discussion laid out. And on the home page, I've just put the major categories of campaigns, foreclosure defense, ideas for the great transition, guests or guest speakers, the personal protection, what can we do to protect ourselves in all these various categories. Do you have a petition? And you'll notice on the campaigns and the petitions, I'm going to show you the info page. We're going to go there in a minute, if you're not already there. There's some real estate advice. This comes from my real estate website. Stopping tyranny, because we got to stop tyranny and we have to grow the great transition. So we're sort of caught in the middle, and we can do it. And this is going to make our job much, much easier. You mark my words. And then, of course, let's discuss the tyranny. Let's get it out there because people will pay attention. If they're fighting GMOs and Monsanto, something will happen in their lives to help them go to, wait a minute, that's uncomfortable. What's going on? Send them this blog on that topic, and it pulls everybody back here into a discussion. Now, I want to point out that right here at the top, every time you go into the greattransition.org, we're seeking attorneys for justice to fight against foreclosure. And so get on our list. When you click that button, it goes right here to this page, Attorneys for Justice. And right now I don't have any listed. Come on, if you're an attorney, you know an attorney, you want to get on that page, contact me. Let's start making a list. We need 1 million attorneys for justice. We really do. And I'm telling you, we need arguments that will win in court, and I know we're going to get them. We've got the arguments. So I haven't really worked on the research tools. Many people have sent me links for this, that, and the other, and that's what's going to happen. Links to law libraries and, dictionaries and blah, blah, blah. I will work on that. And works in progress, this is a page where we'll just do what it says. We'll be creating efforts, whatever that effort is. So whatever that current work in progress is, and people can comment and help me address that until that becomes a new campaign or a new effort, and it flows into the blog, and then we have a new work in progress. And then this real estate is just information, gradually will be shifted over from my real estate website. There's a lot of nice tools and stuff, and the Homeowners for Justice. Right now, this is just a link. The page will link to the Homeowners for Justice website. Much of that information I will over time pull into this, because some of it is not nearly as usable as what we're going to have right here. And you'll see in just a minute on the info page. For example, in the Homeowners for Justice, I have a page called Legal Action by State. And the fact is, it's difficult to use, and it just is what it is. It's just a list. It's like a flat page, a brochure. What I have actually done, here's our info page. And on the info page, there's two things I want to bring to your attention. One is these 4 links. Each one of these is a spreadsheet, a Google spreadsheet, always active. As soon as I add something, it's instantly available to everybody that pulls that new link out, clicks it again. And so I've already started any campaign. For example, that's petitions. Let's see, where's campaigns? That's lawsuits. Oh, it was the last one. Okay, here's campaigns. I've already listed the campaign tonight. This is a campaign for tonight. Occupy Fights Foreclosures. They're doing a fight back, an occupation at this house, right here at this address, because these people have a surprise 5-day eviction. The sheriff is going to evict them while they're fighting foreclosure in court. They don't even have a court ruling, and here's the link that you can read about it. And so the idea is that as this page gets built, all of these pages, as they get built with this information, you can download that and you can sort. So let's say you're not in California. Let's say that we have campaigns and petitions and lawsuits from all over the nation. It doesn't matter. We just stick them in there, and you can download that and sort by your state, by your area, by your county, by your city. And this is the whole plan, is to make, here's a petition from Minneapolis. This hit my email. Boom, it's in the petition page. You can go to this, you can keep these pages open, and when changes are done, they'll show up, and you can sign this petition, and you can help the Ceballos try to get a loan mod and keep the house. They're getting dual tracked. I don't even know if Minnesota has laws against dual tracking like California, Oregon, and Washington now have. But this is the point. We can connect easily. You can bookmark these pages. Bookmark the info page every day. Just check for the updates, because that, in fact, what I'll probably end up doing is when there's a new update, we'll stick it on the blog, because now we're going to look at the discussion categories. Remember, this is our blog discussion. And these are the categories I've started with. So as we have more categories, it will grow. Here's the campaigns. So I've got some subcategories in that. Here's foreclosure defense. You'll see pro se, do-it-yourself strategies, lawsuits. And on some of these, like the campaigns, I remind people, go over here and look at the info page, look at the spreadsheet. Lawsuits, we're going to talk about them on the blog. Talk about using this as a pleading. Talk about the securitization failure as a plea. Talk about loan mod, short sales, state laws. But we can come over here and actually sort through the lawsuits and pull out the pleadings that we want, just like that, for your defense. Here's the issues on the Great Transition that I've started. Foundation financing, nonprofits. Why don't we have that for financing homes? Come on. They're going to hang on to it, or public banks. Get the counties to do this with their credit creation on a public bank, so any and every interest flows back into the public for the public's benefit. The beneficial corporations, let's set those up. How about let's push for employee co-ops, other funding ideas. Come on, let's think of new funding ideas. Let's discuss them. Let's get this going. Let's blog this out. Let's hook these blog topics into your Facebook page, so every time there's something, it lands on the page and everybody sees it. Let's use technology for us. Iceland. Let's talk about Iceland. And so I have not been able to start the blog, start the topics on each one of these yet. I've done a few. to get the idea. Here's Go Local ideas, more Go Local ideas. This is the feeding ground for everybody to share our ideas, because this is how we're going to enhance, we're going to water all of these little blue spots that are blooming. Come on, as they grow and grow, they'll gradually connect, and we will have a field of green for the people. And then some real estate advice, guest speakers. Here's the personal protection items. You have another item you want to discuss? Tell me. I can add an item on this in less than 60 seconds, and we can be up and running. Stopping tyranny. Here's some ideas. The FBI tips. Suing the public as individuals. We've been told now that you can do that. The Supreme Court has ruled. So I want to really start writing on these topics and start to get them out there and get comments and get feedback and really stir the waters. What new laws should we pass? This is the affidavit of authority that many of you are working on in various and sundry places around the country. The research tools. What are the kind of research tools? What's helped you? Send it. We'll link it. It'll be up for everybody. How else can we stop foreclosures? What can we do? And then, of course, the tyranny. All the different tyranny. And you know, it was really, really helpful to lay this out in a list like this, because now you can look at and go, oh my goodness, bank fraud. Well, the fiat credit creation, they just create it willy-nilly, whatever, with no connection to reality. There's no restraints. They're just doing it and lying to us. The foreclosure fraud. They're manipulating all these markets. And I just said market manipulation rather than the gold, the bond, the stocks, the securities, blah, it just goes on and on and on. The loan modification lying. The loss share agreements, those lying arrangements and those lucrative arrangements they have with an agency that is funded by the taxpayers, the FDIC, and bank fees, and how they're going to break the country. That is the point. They want to just burden everybody with so much debt that when they come out with a new currency, they will make these debt agreements with the governments negative to the people, and they will say, well, we will chop your debt in half. Now remember, they've manipulated it so that you have the debt. They've created debt on your back in the first place. And then they're going to take, it sounds like how they mark it up and then slash it for retail. It's exactly the same. So they're going to mark up our debt, and then they'll slash it. But what they'll do on the slash is require all the currency to be collateral. You want to join our new world currency? We'll slash your debt, but you got to collateralize it with the gold in your banks, with the real estate, with the people. That's the tyranny. That's the ultimate tyranny. Then they control everybody. MERS. Here's another. This is all just bank fraud, money laundering, securities fraud, violating all the rulings against them. All of this is fraudulent. And so and then of course you look at all these other issues, fracking and HARP and chemtrails and what they're doing with guns and the Federal Reserve and how they shove that through and judge corruption and the national ID cards, and the OCC is not, controlling or regulating the banks. They're just aiding and abetting their delinquency. False flags. This is just the discussions that we're having. And this allows you to get involved, me to get involved, the whole planet to get involved so that we can connect. The whole idea is so that quickly all of us can put our fingers on whatever we need to see and know whenever we need to see and know it. We want to see what the campaigns are in our area? Boom. Contacts. Now what I've done on contacts, what I'm thinking of doing, I have a list of all the recorders' emails in California, I do believe. And so I will, copy and paste that into this spreadsheet so that everybody will have access to the emails of all of our government officials and the media. Any email that you've got, when you send this information, please send it to me with that in the subject line so I sort of know where it goes. And I do thank you, those people, those of you that have volunteered. I've got some volunteers, and this is how you can help us. I'll be working with volunteers, sharing a sheet with a volunteer who will input this data when it comes. So it's not just backlogged because I don't have enough time. That is a goal. This is how we can work together to build a platform. This is the platform, and like I said, I've sort of figured out how this goes. I'm dangerous now. I don't know everything, and I've got some, I want some YouTube sliders and stuff, and I'll be working on that. Here, by the way, is the library, the live stream. Here's live stream TV. You can donate. Here's the library. This is the connection to a Google document now that will be completely updated instantly. It'll be just right there. As soon as I make an update, boom, you've got it. And then here's the YouTube channel. You can follow on Twitter. So I've been working really hard trying to get in a format that will support us. This is for us. And oh, by the way, the host of this website has unlimited data storage. So send me those lawsuits. I will upload them just like that, and they will all be linked into the lawsuit page. And I wanted to just focus on, here's a petition on the lawsuit. I don't know enough. Please understand. I don't know everything. I really don't, and I'm not an attorney. And when you send a lawsuit, please send the information that I should put in each one of these columns. Do my thinking for me, will you please? Do that research. And I'm positive that there's something missing, that we're going to wish, oh, I wish we had this column. Oh, I wish we had that piece of data. That's fine. I can do that. Just like this. We can do that, and we can make these edits and changes instantly, and all have access to it. So help me out. Those of you that are attorneys, those of you that know these lawsuits, those of you that understand this stuff way better than I do. We got to keep it short, and I can even put up here above this line, because you can freeze a certain number of rows. So I can have some instructions at the top about how to download if you want to sort, and we can actually have a table like 1 means this or A means that, and then in these columns, so that we don't get the spreadsheet so big you can't possibly handle it, or I have to scroll back and forth all the time, which gets really awful. People can see, the ruling is 1, 5, and 8. Whatever 1, 5, and 8 happen to mean. Does that make sense? So we can simplify this. We can make these little subtables as for part of the explanation, because what we want right now is as much data out there for as many people as possible, and we need to give them that hope. We can now make a difference. We can do this. And truly, if there's another sheet that you have imagined, for example, why don't we set something up for state laws? What are the citations? What are the statutes in that state that address these, like the Homeowner Bill of Rights in California? It'll be done, literally, once I start to do that, I could have that done in 5 minutes. I can't fill it with the information, but I can have the sheet set up, and I can have the link on the info page, and away we go. So I wanted to share that with you. Thank you so much for watching. Don't ever forget, it's GREATRANSITION, just 1 T in greattransition.org. And truly, we are no longer buggering people. We are going to beat back the bank attack. You mark my words. We will do everything possible to beat this back, because it is all about taking you and me and our wealth and our kids and everything that we have going for us into their pockets, and we've got to beat them back. And that means we connect and join with people, because I'm telling you, there's only a few of them and there's billions of us. So let's get busy. Thanks, guys.
They got bailed out, we getting sold out. Some living underwater in their own house. They hear the word foreclosure, they get scared and think it's all over. But nah, the fight just begun. It ain't gonna be easy, but it must be won. Cause Bank of America's bad for America. Congress held hostage, they kidnapped the treasurer. This ain't the dream in the land of America, but we could change that if we stand up together. Demand something better than the status quo. We elect, they neglect, then they have to go. We gon' beat back the bank attack. We gon' beat march and rally for social justice. Forged signatures got the robo busted. Do the right thing now, reduce the principle. Job growth, increase residuals. We're solidified, can't divide and conquer. When we fight, we win. With the pride to prosper, with people power, we equal the power. Civil disobedience to veto the dollar. Close our bank accounts, oppose their policy. Loan mod programs don't work, it's a lottery. So what do we do when the banks attack? Yeah, and we don't want no cash for keys. We want to enter this catastrophe rapidly. Back the bank attack. We gon' beat back that bank attack. We gon' beat back the bank attack. We gon' beat back that bank attack. Set up with the people, yeah, and down with the bank. Those greedy banks. Set up with the people, yeah, and down with the bank. Those dirty banks. Fannie Mae, you can't hide. We can see your greedy side. It's pain for the many, profits for the few. Wells Fargo, we're coming for you. Get your voice back, tell your story. Yell out, this is city life territory. We got the right to the city. Vida Urbana, life in the city. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Stimulus pack, first class Bora Bora. Meanwhile, we staring in the eye of the storm. Earthquakes, hurricanes, trying to hold on. But U.S. Bank, we're here to prove what? We shall not be moved. Only a judge can evict you. You wanna fight for your home? Then we'll fight with you.